Welcome everyone back to another episode of the Void Bros podcast. Today we'll be talking about conspiracy theories surrounding 9/11. So join us as we dive into the void of the 9/11 conspiracy theories. As always, we'll start with our roundtable talks. How are we doing?
Good for you. We get the weekend off. Nice.
I like Saturdays a lot.
Like Saturdays.
Greg's rocking a new pair of sunglasses, even though the viewers can't see. You know, we got the vintage clout goggles.
These are inspired by Kurt Cobain. You know who Kurt Cobain is?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, that's why I was playing Nirvana last night.
And the tuxedo shirt.
And the tuxedo shirt.
This is inspired by LJ. These are inspired by Kurt.
LJ and Kurt.
Kurt Angle.
No.
Olympic
Or
gold medalist.
as someone we used to work with, Kurt Anal. Remember when Tommy would say that?
Good guy.
Kurt
Good guy.
Angle.
Kurt Cobain, Mason.
You know, he painted his ceiling red, supposedly.
I don't know if it was the ceiling or the wall. Haven't seen the pictures.
Huh?
He was murdered.
We might be able to do that one eventually.
Yeah. There's another conspiracy theory down the road. There's a lot in that.
Definitely have to wear these for that one.
Well,
What does wearing them do?
brings the power of Kurt Cobain.
All sunglasses have a certain type of mojo, man. Look, I have forgot my sunglasses doing these before.
I think like three times, three in a row, actually.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah,
I don't
because you
never
didn't
forget mine.
have them during our missing 411 part 2 or the after hours, and then you didn't have again after the after hours.
You're slacking.
Well, you might have had them, but I don't think you put them on.
I think I had them in the after hours, but I don't really know.
All right, you guys ready to dive in here? So as we know, on September 11th of 2001, 19 hijackers flew planes into the Twin Towers, also known as the World Trade Center, in Manhattan, New York. A third plane crashed to the Pentagon, and a fourth plane intended for the U.S. Capitol or the White House crashed to a field nearby in, I believe, the border of Ohio and Pennsylvania. Nearly 3,000 people were killed in one of the rarest and certainly worst terrorist attack on American soil. The United States administration blamed the terror group Al-Qaeda and its leader Osama bin Laden for the attacks following an investigation. The U.S. declared a war on Afghanistan, which set off a chain of conflicts in the Middle East. 9/11, as the date came to be called, changed geopolitical equations forever. Over the 14 years since, the surge of Islamic terrorism has become global, and in the West is engaged in seemingly endless wars in the Middle East. However, not everyone around the world believes that 9/11 attacks were carried out by Al-Qaeda. And without the knowledge of the U.S. administration or intelligence, several conspiracy theories often floated around with scientific phenomenon often being used to justify them. Mason, I don't think you were born.
I was born. I wasn't even one yet, but I was born.
You're born in 01, were you?
2000.
Oh,
How long have you guys known each other?
long time.
Since third grade.
Connor.
Long time.
Long enough. 2008, 2009.
I was a little bit older then, but I don't remember seeing any of this on the news. I partially blame a huge fucking bump on my head when I was a kid. I fell.
Tumor. Oh.
No, not that kind of bump. No, I fell and I smacked my head on a metal bar.
I was 1 year old when this happened, and I was being babysitted by my aunt, my mom's sister. That's all I remember when that went down. Obviously, this is the worst thing to happen probably in America. So for our first main conspiracy theory, that is one of the bigger topics, but not the biggest topic, is the Twin Towers collapsed as a result of a controlled demolition, not the impact on the planes. You guys ever heard anything about that?
Yep.
So what, they were supposed to fall?
Kind of. So one theory states that the World Trade Center towers collapsed because of an explosion had been planted inside of them. Scientist Stevie Jones and architect Richard Gage, software engineer Jim Hoffman, and the theologian David Ray Griffin, not David Ray Parker.
That's the problem. They got serial killers building the buildings.
Some of them were just potentials of this theory. They concluded that the structure of the towers could not have been weakened enough by the impact of the planes and the resulting fire from jet fuel. Jones went so far to suggest that the government authorities might have used thermites or super thermites to ensure the collapse of the buildings. The fact that both buildings fell in a vertical fashion, as if being pulled into the ground, as used for further justification of this theory. So
I can see that. Yeah,
we've seen
if a plane were to hit, I imagine the building would fall the direction that the plane was going, right?
Yeah, theoretically. So we've all seen videos of, I'm sure in school they might have showed some of these videos, or doing our own research or over it, we've seen videos on news all over the world, news channels, YouTube, and all that, of the buildings pretty much falling down and what looks like to be a controlled demolition, as it just fell straight down on top of itself. So it is scientifically proven that jet fuel does not burn hot enough to melt through steel. Jet fuel burns only at 800 to 1500 degrees, which isn't hot enough to melt the steel. But keep in mind, it is hot enough to weaken the steel.
Yeah.
While the idea of thermites that were placed in the train system or in the lobbies of the tower burned at over 4,000 degrees, which is high enough to melt steel and bringing the towers down in a vertical fashion. I want you to guys know that maybe not a lot of people knew this, but both towers had a basement to it. They had 7 levels in this basement. Eyewitnesses, including firefighters who went into the tower that was first struck by a plane, explained that traveling up the tower through the stairwell, they began to hear 3 loud explosions and stated that the elevator shaft was just full of fire, as if a bomb went off. The firefighters who were in the tower decided to head back down the stairwell because it was too dangerous to keep going up, so they just tried to save the people on the lower levels. They didn't want to sacrifice their lives and not be able to save the people on the lower levels. As soon as they got down to the lobby of the World Trade Center, they realized that the lobby was no more. The lobby was just gone. Other eyewitnesses claimed that there was an attack on the train system below the towers. People on the street, still in shock about the plane hitting the tower, soon took their attention on the street as it fell into the ground as if there were more bombs placed in this train system. There was, before this, I don't know if a lot of people knew this, but I believe it was in 1996, there was a previous terrorist attack placed on...
That's the year I was born.
Placed on the World Trade Center. It was just a cargo van with a bomb that blew up on kind of the lower street levels near the tower. I believe 6 people were killed and multiple injured, but there was no real structural damage to the towers from what it seemed like.
Just too far below.
Here's where we're going to start talking about this. So the steel in the towers, when they were made, they all had a special fireproof coating that was designed for events like this, for a plane to hit it. Any other fire that was taking place. This is one of the theories why the buildings came down in a straight fashion instead of just falling over. There was an interview about a guy who actually worked on building the World Trade Centers, and he stated that that this building was made to withstand multiple plane hits. And, that guy was killed in the towers at the time.
It's a hard thing to try to trust, though.
Yeah. But this building
how
was...
the fuck do you really test that,
Supposedly it was to withstand multiple plane hits, and being how tall it was, the high winds around there, too. So...
High winds in New York?
Yeah, windy up there.
I'm just fucking with you.
So, there's multiple videos online of these like firefighters talking about bombs going off down on the lower level, like on the streets, like as if these bombs were planted there before.
Does it say how many bombs in total? This theory suggests.
If you were to look up any 9/11 conspiracy theories, you literally can't find shit on the internet about it. Like, I don't know if they just like blocked everything so the government just says that, this is what it is. And
yeah, as I was reading through a few things, it definitely, they would go and say something and then they'd fucking backtrack.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of like stuff that doesn't feel right when it comes to this stuff. There's plenty of videos of people talking about how they're hearing bombs blow up on the street level, like in the lobbies, underground. There was an eyewitness said that.
From a logical standpoint, what else would make that sound and happen around the same time?
Most people claim that they just think that it was just some of the fuel igniting in the plane when it hit, and just other explosions that happened above.
Okay,
but multiple witnesses and statements claim that there was actual bombs on the lower levels. There was some of the bodies when Ground Zero first happened and the first plane hit. There was some bodies like able to be taken out of there. There was one of a boy who I think lived in like North Carolina at the time. A boy, and his the way his autopsy showed was like really strange due to the fact that like only half of his body was kind of damaged. Like he wasn't crushed or anything. Like his face, like half his face was like blown off. Arms and legs just fucking mangled. Like an explosion went off, and he was on the lobby.
But it only happened on one side of his body.
Yeah.
So one side was mangled, and the other side was just normal.
I wouldn't say normal.
Well, not normal, but not really.
But it was identical. Yeah.
Mason, you ain't said shit.
I'm waiting. I see the next topic. I'll add something to that.
Okay. I see you, Mace.
Yeah. So a lot of people. So when the first plane hit the first tower, we know that it hit kind of in the higher level around like floor 168 or something like that. It was higher up in the buildings. And all these explosions happen on lower parts, like in the lobbies and stuff. So the lobby's just like non-existent. Cars are blowing up down there in the street. So there's multiple things that going on here. That's one of the main conspiracy theories around why the towers collapse in a vertical fashion, because they feel like it would have to be a thermite charge placed in the lower levels of the buildings for it to come down in a vertical fashion. Even if when the plane hit the top and the second plane hit kind of in the middle of the other building, it would weaken the structure, yes, but it wouldn't cause, I feel like it wouldn't cause the building just to fully just like pretty much eat itself in a hole as it just fell straight down. We'll see, and like towards the end, we'll watch a whole bunch of videos about this stuff. So, what is your ideas on this? What do you think happened? Why did the buildings fall down in a vertical fashion instead of like toppling over?
I mean, it's really hard to tell because, without a doubt, planes definitely were flown into them. So, I mean, unless there was like some kind of inside, like super secretive alliance or something like that. I mean, I don't know the odds of that, but.
Well, this next topic that we'll go into here in a little bit is it's pretty disturbing to think about. and it's honestly kind of sad. I mean, everything about this is just absolutely sad and terrible. Of all the lives that were lost, all the like first responders. The first responders were there in 5 seconds.
And I guess the other thing that I kind of find a little odd with this theory in particular is the fact that the buildings and the bombs would have kind of had to go off at somewhat like a similar time, like as soon as the plane and that's
See,
like that's hard to time. I feel
many of the statements and eyewitnesses claim that the bombs didn't go off as soon as the plane hit.
Like later.
It was later because the firefighters were in the building at the time. That could
lead more to it being like jet fuel. You know what I'm saying? Causing the explosions and shit like that. And
if it was jet fuel, how would the jet fuel make it all the way down to like the lobby and the sub levels of the World Trade Center? We know that there's a lot of people saying that like, well, the jet fuel doesn't burn hot enough to melt through steel. There's a video of blacksmith doing this. He melted like pure steel. He picked up an anvil with it, and the steel didn't bend at all. And then when he took the piece of steel out of the furnace, he literally just took his pinky and bent it. Just his pinky, bent it. So we know that it's not the fire probably wasn't hot enough to melt the steel, but it was hot enough to weaken the structure to make on the top.
Yeah, make it a little bit more malleable, have a little bit more
this fireproof coating was supposed to kind of protect the metal and preserve it. A lot of that coating was asbestos. Yep.
What was with people in asbestos, man? God damn, they fucking put that shit in everything.
Yeah, it was supposed to protect, but not protect the human bodies, is what we think. Because a lot of the first responders did get cancer and die of cancer from it, which is pretty sad because the government like pretty much treated them like dog shit when they were cleaning up and all that. Yeah, they got treated like shit. They literally like the first responders had like these like shitty paper masks that they got at like Home Depot, and like government officials are all in this fucking hazmat suits and stuff. Pretty sad to think about, but it's just kind of weird, and there's a lot of vague and like unanswered questions of why the buildings fell in that manner.
I mean, I'm kind of in agreement with you on, like, I mean, it definitely is enough, like you said. I mean, and with enough heat, I mean, metal, it bends like it's nothing. So, I mean, it was a really tall building, and I mean, the structure can only hold so much. Now, the shit down below, I have no fucking idea what happened down there. I have a feeling like, unless you were able to see the inside and like what the top of like that lounge would look like, because I'd want to see like what it looked like up. Because
the lobby was pretty big. Like the lobby was an open concept. From many pictures that I've seen, it was like a kind of like a 2-story open lobby concept, where it had like stairs to go up and look out the windows and stuff.
Have you seen anything on if it had like anything had happened to the ceiling? I guess my whole thing is if there's not much wrong with the ceiling, then there's no fucking way something collapsed down through it.
Yeah.
I mean what I'm saying?
So, I mean, like the plane crashed like above like the 150 level, so you gotta think that.
But it's got to travel
It's got to travel through it. So, like, unless it's, like, super fucking heavy, it ain't making it all the way to the bottom to where it's on the...
And how long did it say that the lounge was like this? I mean, it's not like as soon as the plane hit, the lobby was pretty much fucking destroyed, right?
Oh, no. It was a while after, because you got to think, like...
how do you think fire traveled in there? Like...
Well, I mean, it's an office building, so there's a lot of like flammable stuff, and obviously,
but as far as the structure goes, there's not really much to burn structure-wise, is there?
The first plane that hit was carrying about a total of 10,000 gallons of jet fuel. So obviously, when it hits, that's going to be a big ignition, like a night. And I mean, we've seen the videos of just a fucking fireball as soon as it hits.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, 10,000 gallons of jet fuel. It's gonna fucking ignite. and a lot of shit's gonna burn. But it's just kind of strange that, I mean, if you kind of look at it, the videos, the building does tend to collapse. Like it starts collapsing towards the top and not the bottom. I mean, I can kind of see it that the jet fuel weakened the structure, which caused most of the top of the building to collapse on itself, and then just kind of just fucking domino effect on the way down.
I'll say I've not actually seen like any really in depth or like longer videos of like the process of it burning.
I've never really thought of it the way that it fell. How like it fell just straight down like that. Never really thought about
Makes
it.
you think, doesn't it? See, because the weird thing is that the second tower that got hit was the first tower to collapse, and not the first tower that got hit.
But were they hit at the same angle, or
No, they hit, the second plane that hit the second World Trade Center. The plane did come in at an angle, and it hit lower on the tower, which could cause that to basically collapse on itself. You know, you're kind of weakening more of the bottom.
Yeah, you're weakening the base.
So I could see why that collapsed, but
Yeah, when you go to cut a tree down, you don't start at the fucking top.
yeah, I can see how like I don't know. You can pretty much kind of swing both ways. You can say that it was like almost it just looked more of a controlled demolition the way the towers came down, as it came down in a vertical fashion. It could be due to the many countless eyewitnesses and statements of other explosions happening below on ground level and underneath the ground. Like there's some people saying that like bombs went off like in the train tunnels and you can see the whole road collapse in on itself, which could technically weaken the lower structures of the buildings.
Yeah, I say I've never really thought about this stuff either.
So on to our next one. This is probably the biggest conspiracy theory that evolves around 9/11. It's whether or not it was an inside job by the U.S. government, or as many people say, Bush was behind most of 9/11. So the theory of this is the U.S. is behind 9/11 has always been a big one. This goes back a long time ago with a project called Operation Northwoods. So at the time when this operation was in plan, this is when the U.S. was having problems with Cuba. So a country can never go into war unless its people want to, because otherwise they'll lose people's support, and there would be mass protests against the government, and the government could also be overthrown. So the tension in Cuba was at peak in 1962. We all know later on that the U.S. did invade Cuba, but there was one rather peculiar and, as the cool kids would say, out of the box idea that the American Joint Chiefs of Staffs to, quote, blow up American planes. All of this can be found in like actual documents and stuff. They also stated that to commit terrorist attacks on American soil, to blame it all on Cubans in order to justify a invasion of Cuba. This plan called for the Central Intelligence Agency, or CIA, and other operations to commit genuine acts of terrorism in U.S. cities and elsewhere. These acts of terrorism were to be blamed on Cuba in order to create public support of a war against the nations, which had recently become Cuba came under communist order of Fidel Castro. One of the operations Northwood plan was to develop a communist Cuban terror campaign in Miami's and New York, and many other cities, even Washington. So this document was signed by a chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff, Lyman Limpsinzer.
You love these fucking names, man.
They can't ever be normal. And reportedly present was the Secretary of Defense, Robert McNamara, on March 13th of 1962. So Operation Northwood's proposal included hijacking and bombing, followed by introduction of a phony evidence that would implicate that Cuba's government was just not good. It stated the desired result of the execution of this plan would be placed on the United States in the apparent position of suffering defensible grievance from a rash and irresponsible government of Cuba, and develop a international image of Cuban threat to place in the Western Hemisphere. In the recommendation section of the justification of the U.S. military intervention in Cuba, the Joint Chiefs of Staff made it clear that the willingness to stage actual terrorism events and legitimate casualties to sustain the intentions to invade Cuba. Some of the suggestions of how they should do this, I'll read a few off that I was able to actually find. One, it is possible to create an incident which will demonstrate convincingly that a Cuban aircraft has attacked and shot down a central civilian airliner en route from the United States to Jamaica, Guatemala, Panama, and Venezuela. The destination would be chosen only to cause a flight plane route across Cuba. The passengers could be in a group of college students, off the holidays, or any group of people with a common interest to support charting a non-scheduled flight. So this one, they just stated that they were going to try to blame them shooting down an American aircraft full of people on Cuba.
And then they can invade.
And then that would help win over the people to invade. Another one is we could blow up a U.S. ship in Guantanamo Bay and blame Cuba.
I'm trying to remember the war that we had with Cuba. What was it called again? It's been a few years since I was in history class.
I never paid attention in history class.
I thought it was the War Against Nations or something like that.
That was like the Gulf War or something.
That could have been it too. Sounds pretty right.
The Cold War.
That was Russia. I remember that one, Mason. God damn it.
Another one is, quote, we can develop a communist Cuban terror campaign in Miami area and other Florida cities, and even in Washington. The terror campaign could be pointed at refugees seeking haven in the United States. We could sink a boatload of Cubans en route to Florida, real or simulated.
The fuck does that mean?
So they're pretty much saying...
I know, like, what the words mean, but, like...
They're pretty much saying that they could blame, like, I don't know, like, they shot a torpedo at a boat full of Cuban refugees trying to seek a better place in America and blame it on Cuba for shooting at their own people.
Yeah, but like, it says real or simulated. I mean, if you shoot a torpedo at a boat full of people, that's not really simulated. That's all real. Well, maybe if the boat was said to be full of people, and then they shoot a torpedo at it, and nobody dies. It's kind of
well. When it says real or simulated, it means like they can have a decoy boat out there, blow that decoy up, and just bullshit some Cuban citizen names that died on that boat. That's what they're trying to say. Like, they're just trying to fake anything to where it's like it looks like there's casualties involved. They also said we could foster attempts on the lives of Cuban refugees in the United States, even to extent of wounding the instance to be widely publicized, exploding a few plastic bombs in carefully chosen spots, the arrest of Cuban agents, and the release of prepared documents obtaining Cuban involvement also would be helpful to project the idea of an irresponsible government. That's just a few of them of what they planned on doing.
So they're trying to piss their people off.
So keep this in mind about Project Northwoods was pretty much the U.S. causing terrorism on U.S. soil to blame other countries.
Mm-hmm.
So during the time of 9/11, we know that the U.S. was having problems with the Middle East, like Al Qaeda and Bin Laden. Um, so, with Project Northwoods in mind, this could possibly be a probable cause to invade the Middle East, which we later on did after 9/11. But I also want to point out this: when the Northwoods, Operation Northwoods, was trying to get passed on, um, President John F. Kennedy was in office at the time. He was the president. Well, Kennedy fucking shot this son of a bitch down faster than anything. Like, no, we ain't doing this. And
Is it meant to be a pun?
no, I didn't mean it to be, but now I'm thinking about it. Yeah. Well, anyways, so actually 2 months after he shot this down, JFK was assassinated. Keep that in mind too.
So he shot it down.
They shot him down.
See your analogy now.
Yeah. So Operation Northwoods was a project to, cause terrorism made by the U.S. government. So this is why a lot of people are blaming that Bush did 9/11 due to the fact of this operation. Did he actually?
But there's nothing found that actually connects Bush to like literally anything.
Well, see, here's the thing. When 9/11 happened, do you know where Bush was?
No, I was at school.
Bush was also at a school in Florida in a second grade classroom getting ready to read a book to second graders. Makes it a play off like he's pretty innocent, huh? He has no involvement. He's all the way in Florida, miles and miles and miles away from New York. He's in a second grade classroom getting ready to read a children's book to second graders.
That's just a good president.
Well, when the secret agent comes in the room and tells him a second plane has hit the building, he stays like absolutely calm and like not like panicking. You know what I mean? He's in a second grade room, so hopefully he wouldn't freak out the kids. But 25 minutes after that,
What do you mean? That'd be traumatic news. I'd look at those kids and be like, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
He stayed there. And then after about 25 minutes later, after he was told, he made his first public statement at that school. So there was how do I want to word this? There was a defense group. I forget the name of it. George W. Bush Sr. actually was the chairman of this defense group. And also in that defense group was Osama bin Laden's son, who helped fund a lot of stuff. And when 9/11 happened, something really odd happened in the stock market. A day before 9/11 happened, a lot of stocks and outputs were put onto the American Airlines, which happened to be the airlines that hit both buildings.
I forget people can't hear me nodding. I'd be like, I just like
So
nod.
it was almost like a lot of people, especially in like Wall Street and a lot of people who had money in stocks and all that, why all of a sudden did they bid on all these airlines at the time?
Lucky guess.
Or they knew something bad was going to happen, so they could benefit a profit off a tragedy, as a lot of government officials normally do. I'll talk about there's a lot that involves money when it comes to the 9/11 conspiracies. The next topic that we talk about will be a big one that involves money, like trillions of dollars. A lot of people may not know this too. When both planes hit and they fell, a lot of the buildings surrounding it was not fully damaged or collapsed, but there was actually another tower that fell down that wasn't struck by a plane that day. Are you aware of that?
How far was that?
It was in the like radius of it, but it wasn't. It was like across the street from the Twin Towers. When we had the two main towers, Tower 1 and Tower 2, and there was 7 other buildings. This was WCW 7, which holded a lot of secret defense government files. And this building also collapsed in a vertical fashion, but it wasn't hit by a plane. They were saying from the fire and heat and the rubble from the two towers that collapsed caused that building to collapse. But it doesn't state.
How tall was this tower?
It wasn't that tall. It wasn't even half the size of the World Trade Center.
But they want to say that nothing else's frames melted or anything. What was the significance of this tower?
It held top secret defense files from the government.
That's a pretty important tower too.
Yeah, I've never heard anything about it.
I bet a lot of people didn't know about it. There's a lot of really vague stories about all of this. There's a CNN clip of a reporter actually standing by this building before it collapsed. And they were talking about how it was starting to collapse when nothing happened. And then all of a sudden, it just, the broadcast just cut off.
See, CNN has, like, it seems like there's a lot of shifty shit that goes on with them. About their reporters initially saying one thing and then just backtracking and just going the complete other direction at that point.
Yeah, and it's also kind of weird how, like, there was also other conspiracy theories that, like the air defense, like all that.
Yeah.
They were told to stand down after the first plane hit. Like, they could have easily stopped the second one. The only so-called quote-unquote plane that they actually stopped was the one that didn't actually hit a target. If that fourth plane was to hit, the fourth plane was going to aim at the White House.
Was it the White House or? See, because I've heard that it may have been. I think I heard somebody say Eli Lilly, because it's where a bunch of medicine and all that's made.
It could have been that, but a lot of people are suggesting that it was trying to, end the president.
But he was in a fucking school in Florida.
They didn't know, they didn't know that at the time. Just something weird. Another thing to think about. Why did this other building collapse in the same vertical fashion as the Twin Towers when it wasn't struck by a plane at all?
A really big bird flew into a window.
God,
disrupted the whole building.
I think Mason's on to something. There might be a thing to these fucking big birds. I mean, they end up in everything too. They're like the fucking Nazis. Maybe the big birds are the Nazis. That theory that people are like lizards. I'm starting to think maybe people are actually like gigantic birds and they just shapeshift into people.
I mean, as we keep going on through conspiracy theories, we realize that the Nazi Party was a lot smarter than what we thought they were.
Yeah, Adolf Hitler was a gigantic bird. He did not kill himself. He just shed his previous skin.
He's a gigantic bird. Like, is my only thing? Were you about to move on?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say the only thing for like conspiracy or like inside job or whatever is like how you're saying there might have been bombs on the like ground floor and that's how the building fell down. Maybe there were some Middle Eastern ethnic background workers like in the building, and maybe they kind of like planted some bombs like as they're working.
That could be true.
Because like they know the building, they'd know where to put. Because they didn't blow up like when the plane blew up, like you were saying.
Yeah, they were it. The way that people were talking about it was like they were placed there way prior to the plane ever hitting. So it had to be
like days or something before, or like hours.
Could be days or. I mean, I think the day before 9/11 actually happened, a lot of trades and stocks went into these airline companies whose airlines were hijacked, and then all four planes had a destination target. Two hit the towers, one hit the Pentagon, one didn't make its destination. The one that didn't make its destination was really heroic for the people. They actually stood up and fought, but sadly no one lived to tell the tale of that. There are a lot of audios which we'll end out on, which we'll hear some of the final words of all the victims on this day. which is really sad. Yeah, it's kind of I don't know, the inside job. Having that operation and plan, prior kind of makes you think, well, I mean, the government wanted to create acts of terror and terrorism on its own citizens to invade a different country.
Yeah, at least in 1962.
Yeah. And what makes that different now? There's no difference between any of it. They had no real reason to invade the Middle East. They had no real evidence to really back a campaign to fight Al Qaeda and Osama bin Laden, who they blamed all of this on, which gave them a valid reason to send troops, millions of troops, into Afghanistan and Iraq and all them to fight the war in the Middle East, which went on for years and years and years. Still to this day, I'm pretty sure we still have troops in the Middle East. Because I'm pretty sure as soon as Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden was killed, well, that's when the rise of ISIS kind of came around during the Obama days in office.
And that was wild, too.
Which just makes you think. Yeah, ISIS was pretty recent, but I don't know if there was actually an act of terror or terrorism caused by ISIS on U.S. soil. Don't quote me on that, because I bet there was.
It's kind of hard to tell, because I think, if I remember correctly, there were a couple times that ISIS members were going for a terrorist attack, but they never ended up actually being able to finish out with it. They usually ended up getting caught before anything happened.
Yeah. So those were the two big conspiracy theories involving the Twin Towers and the incident that happened in New York. So those were the two. The second one that we went over, the inside job, that can really correlate to all the attacks that happened. The one we get into next is the so-called plane that crashed into the Pentagon. Some conspiracy theorists have argued that the Pentagon was not damaged as a result of the crash of the American Airlines Flight 77. Instead, a missile was dropped on it. One popular conspiracy theory website claims that the hole in the Pentagon walls were far too small to have been made by a Boeing 757.
Yeah, I told you, I was checking out some of those pictures, and I seen a helicopter next to the hole in the wall. And I mean, that hole did not look very much bigger than the helicopter.
Well, we're going to analyze a video here in a little bit. I have a video of you can barely see something. Something does hit the Pentagon. There's a video that was leaked about it. It's a real video. I can tell it's a real video. There's no CGI in it. There's nothing. It's like fucking raw footage of like a security camera. Obviously, it's the Pentagon has a lot. I'm gonna go ahead and read stuff about it real quick, and this will start like kind of sparking some other conspiracy theories that you guys may think of. So, according to 9/11 Truthers, on September 10th of 2001, announcement by former Secretary of Defense Ronald Rumsfeld that $2.3 trillion was missing from the Pentagon's budget, providing further evidence that September 11th terror attack on the Pentagon was an inside job. Barely 48 hours after Rumsfeld announced that $2.3 trillion was missing from the Defense Department, terrorists crashed a hijacked plane into the Pentagon, headquarters of the United States Department of Defense in Arlington County, Virginia. This was according to CBS News.
Not CNN.
No. The attack caused a partial collapse of the western side of the building, destruction of a large section of the building accounting offices, and extensive loss of document evidence of the missing budget.
Oh, fuck, dude. My back.
Your back's hurting too?
Dude, I'm getting old and fucking
is your lower back?
It's my fucking back, dude.
My lower back was hurting like a bitch today.
My back always be hurting, man.
I feel fine.
Well, ain't you lucky?
My knee was popping every step for a little bit. But I don't know.
Where's your toe?
Dude, I can finally pop it now. It feels a little okay.
Oh yeah, you're trying to pop his toe.
My fucking...
Just making sure it didn't fall off, man.
No, it's still there. It just it pops a little more than what it used to, and it's still pretty tender, pretty purple. But yeah, like I was saying, before we got on about
before you were really interrupted.
Yeah, my fucking...
Ooh, my back hurts.
My back hurts, and when I was on the way here, my knee was fucking hurting because it is fucking cold outside.
It is cold.
It feels good, yes. It is cold, and my knees hate the cold.
Have you been outside today?
I have been.
I know you have.
To the walk from the car
I went outside on break.
Oh. Did you?
Yeah, to put my lunchbox up.
Oh.
And then I sat outside. So anyways.
Like I was saying here. So the attack that happened on the Pentagon, it collapsed the western side of the building. Large sections of the building's accountant offices and extensive loss of the documents document evidence of the missing budgets, the missing $2.3 trillion.
That's a fucking load of money, dude.
How the $2.3 trillion went missing from the defense budget remains a mystery 15 years later. But according to the 9/11 truthers, the missing funds could have been the key evidence in the search for the motive for the 9/11 attack on the Pentagon. Following September 11th attacks, billions more went into funding the so-called War on Terror that was declared by the administration of President George W. Bush. Bush's War on Terror led to the invasion of Afghanistan to dislodge the Taliban accused of harboring al-Qaeda's leaders impacting in the attacks. You got any thoughts, comments on that one?
That's a lot of money to just go missing.
And then where the so-called plane hit happened to have the documents containing the evidence of where that $2.3 trillion went.
Maybe the dog ate it.
I don't think dog ate it. I don't think Clifford the Big Red Dog just fucked up the Pentagon.
Dog ate the paperwork.
What the dog doing?
Moved on from basic math homework to Pentagon papers.
It may not have been a big red dog, but it may have been a big red bird.
Maybe it was a little blue dog with spots.
Clues.
Wait, y'all seen that show?
Yeah.
Which one did y'all get? Did you guys get the cool guy?
A little bit of both of them.
Yeah, the cool guy. I didn't watch the new one, but I
no offense to the other guy. I mean, he might be cool too, but that's not who I grew the fuck up on.
The original one, we had a teacher that kind of looked like him, just without the striped shirt.
Called him Mr. Weddy.
Such a manly fucking name. Steve. What's another one? Brad. Chad.
Don't be a Chad.
No. Be the ultra Chad.
John.
Giga
like
Chad.
John Cena.
James.
Bond.
Jason.
Voorhees.
Statham.
Bourne.
Evan.
Anyways, so according to the 9/11 conspiracy theorists, it appeared that attackers deliberately targeted the west side of the building, or the west side of the building housing the accounting offices and the offices of the Chief of Naval Operations, the Navy's Special Operation Offices, and the Tactical Command Center that included highly restricted and electronical security offices that oversee classified projects and intelligence gathering. Pretty deliberate, if you ask me. Could have picked any other side of the Pentagon.
I'm going to ask you, is it pretty deliberate?
Yeah.
Seems pretty deliberate.
Yeah.
Out of the whole Pentagon.
I like that.
How many sides does the Pentagon have?
5.
All right, why don't they just attack just one?
Why not go for the middle?
Well, you can't exactly take the plane and wreck it into 5 different sides.
Yeah, but you could have picked a side.
Just like fly as low as you can, just like bowling pins, just take it all out.
Mason's onto a point here. I'll explain to this in a minute. We know that
good ideas sometimes.
We know for a fact that the day before September 11th, Rumsfeld came out and told us that there was $2.3 trillion missing, according to Now Daily's Robert Crawford. What happened the next day accounting offices in the Pentagon were blown up, and accounting offices based in the New York buildings and the World Trade Center were demolished. Accounting offices were blown up, and 125 people were killed in the Pentagon attack, many whom were accountants. Some claim that the plane didn't hit the Pentagon because of the size of the hole that built in the building. It was too small for a plane to hit. I want you to know this. All right, here's where we start talking about the hole in the Pentagon. The plane hit the Pentagon. When the plane hit the Pentagon, the plane was coming in at a fucking outrageous speed of 530 miles per hour at first floor level. That the front of the plane was just fucking disintegrated. It was fucking gone. The rest of the plane kept moving forward into the fraction of the second, progressively destroying segments of the Pentagon further inward.
That is obscenely fast.
So when the planes hit the World Trade Center, they were only going about 480 miles per hour. This son of a bitch fucking clocked it at like 530 miles per hour. First floor level, so that's fucking like ground level right there, is when the plane hit.
Going that fast, it almost makes me think he was coming maybe like at a real steep downward angle.
Straight down.
So here...
Well, I guess not really straight down, but like definitely not like that. Definitely more of a fucking... You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like straight line.
Yeah,
not like a curve.
Yeah.
So, actually, there's no really audio to this. I don't know if you want to pull it up on the big one. I guess there is kind of audio to it. So this is a security video of what was supposed to be the plan. So I want you guys to really watch really closely right here.
On the right side.
All right, it happened really fast.
I was going to say, I fucking blinked and missed it.
We didn't stop.
What?
I know, I'm trying to get it.
Change the playback speed.
Yeah. Change the really slow, really fucking slow. So you gotta watch really closely right in this area. As soon as you see it come in by frame, try to pause it.
I still didn't see it, even on the
full
full
no,
screen.
dude, it's just an immediate explosion.
Why do we get on full screen? Maybe that'll be better.
Right there. So you kind of see it kind of coming in an angle right there. All right. Play it just a little bit.
Audio or the quality sucks. It just like freezes and then boom, it hits. You can't even really see it.
So yeah, that's supposedly the plane that hit the Pentagon. I mean, you can probably
I'm not seeing a plane here.
It's a little white fucking dash. It's that little white dash right there.
We'll keep playing again so you can. Oh. All right, you see it come in right there. So it kind of like it's kind of like the video just like glitched, and then obviously it explodes right there. So there's part of it.
He was also going 530 mile an hour, and this was probably done on a shitty little Nokia phone, if anything.
Yeah, this is a security camera outside the guard shack right here.
It's also 2001, so it's probably not the best.
Dude, I don't think any phones had any kind of capability to do this shit back in 2001.
Well, hopefully we'll put to rest some of the conspiracy theories about September 11th. Also, it's important that there be a complete record for history. And it also serves as a useful reminder about the terrible nature of the terrorist threat we face as a country. Well, it's important that people understand that Flight 77 was used as a weapon against the Pentagon, and many, many people died. The suggestion has been that our government was involved in that, and hopefully this video puts all that to rest.
So there we got a government official claiming that this video, what we just saw, was the American Flight 77 hitting the Pentagon. Obviously, it looks like the video is kind of like, you can kind of resemble a plane, but if you look at it really closely, I don't ever see any wings on the plane, or let alone a tail. Like,
He wants you to lose all idea of theory and everything and just throw that all out the window.
If you look at this right here in the corner right there, it literally looks like it's at ground level. Like it's in a straight ground level path.
Yeah, there's no fucking way it'd be going 530 miles at that rate, would it? The fuck's it going to build that much speed?
And right about there, you can also see part of it. But what I don't see is I don't see the tail of the wing or the plane. I don't see the tail at all, let alone the wing. So the next video I'm going to play is, which I believe is this one.
My goodness. Oh, my goodness. We're looking at a live picture from Washington, and there is smoke pouring out of the Pentagon. It would appear that there has been another major explosion, this one in the nation's capital. You are looking at a scene of apparent blast aftermath. There is smoke in the air over the Pentagon. We don't know whether this is the result of a bomb or whether it is yet another aircraft that has targeted a symbol of the United States power, but there is smoke pouring out of the Pentagon. This is coming at 9:43 Eastern Time. The president right now is on his way back from Florida. He had gone there for an educational event. In a brief remarks, he said this was an apparent terrorist attack on our country. We do have a couple of reports, one from AP, one from Reuters, reporting that an American Airlines plane was hijacked, that a United Airlines plane was hijacked, supposedly one of those two planes hijacked out of Boston. At this point, the Pentagon, the White House, the Capitol, and the Treasury have been evacuated in Washington. In New York, all airports, tunnels, and bridges have been closed, and in Chicago, the Sears Tower has been evacuated. We understand now there has been a secondary explosion on Tower 2. With that, we will leave you and turn it over to Dan Rather.
This is CBS News continuing live coverage of the apparent terrorist attacks today here in New York City and in Washington, D.C. It's important to say these things at the very beginning. There is much that is not known about what is happening. The second thing is that the word from almost everybody who's trying to deal with the situation, the word of the day is steady. Steady. Yes, there have been some terrible things happening, but until and unless we know the facts, it's very difficult to draw many conclusions. But there'll be rumors all day, and we're going to try to separate the rumors from the facts. CBS News veteran correspondent Harold Dow is on the telephone now from a section of the city where these twin towers are in flames and smoke. Harold, if you hear us, come in.
I arrived on the scene about an hour and a half ago, and believe it or not, there was another major explosion. The building itself, literally the top of it, came down, sending smoke and debris everywhere. I had to do all I could to run to get away from all the debris. Me and a number of other people here are trapped in the subway here in a shoe store, actually trying to get away from most of the debris. It's just an incredible sight. They had a lot of emergency workers around the building, and of course everybody's hoping that these people were able to get out of there without being injured. But it is a surreal and devastating scene over here, something like I've never seen before.
Harold, exactly where are you in filing this report?
Dan, I'm at a subway station. I just ran down the stairs. I didn't even look at it. It's right around the corner from the World Trade Center, and I'm kind of waiting for that smoke and debris to blow away to go back upstairs. But it's just an unbelievable situation here.
Well, Harold, if I may, take a deep breath, take a series of deep breaths, and then let me ask you, have you seen any indication that would tend to confirm these reports, which have been growing in intensity, that a section of the World Trade Center has collapsed onto the street below? Do you see any confirmation of that in any direction?
That is true, Dan. That's what we were all running from. We heard the building coming down, and that's what we were running from. Literally, people ran out of their shoes trying to get out of the way of this thing.
Yeah, there's a little news coverage over the attack on the Pentagon and the fall of one of the trade centers. What are you thinking?
That's a fucking big explosion, dude. That's a lot of smoke.
Couldn't even.
That was my serious thought. My less serious thought is that guy who was like, "You see my face?" He said, "Where you at, motherfucker? I just told you I'm in the subway. Goddammit!"
So, another thing.
Take a few deep breaths. Kiss my ass, dude. Where the fuck are you at? Yeah.
Another thing I want to point out, did you know that there was actually a mall underneath both the World Trade Centers?
No, I did not know that.
He kind of said it a little bit. He's in the shoe store and the subway. So there was a mall, obviously.
Talking an actual subway station, not like the fast food.
No, subway station. So as we know that the World Trade Center had a 7-story basement. In between both those was kind of like a little shopping mall down there.
A little gift shop.
What kind of you'd see like malls today, just underground. So yeah, that was just a little video over the kind of the attack on the Pentagon, and you witnessed seeing some of the buildings fall.
I don't know about that being a plane though.
Yeah, a lot of people think that it was a Patriot missile, is what a lot of people are thinking it was, that hit the building. If you look at it, that Mason has a pause right here. The fire right there, it's a lot smaller. The explosion was a lot smaller due to the planes that hit the World Trade Centers.
She said the other ones had fuel in them. What if this one didn't have fuel in it? I mean, I definitely feel like it.
I mean,
it made a pretty big fucking explosion. I mean, that mushroom cloud was massive.
The second plane that hit only had 9,800 gallons of jet fuel in it, compared to the first plane that hit that had 100,000. But the second plane had a more bigger explosion than the first one did. But this one's a lot smaller. I mean, it's not, it's not small or anything.
I think this is just the initial impact. I think it gets bigger.
So
I think this is as soon as it goes.
Yeah. So a lot of theories about the plane that crashed. A lot of people are thinking that it's a drone or it was a missile. So there was
I'm more inclined to believe probably a missile.
Debris found at the wreckage. Some of it, they were claiming that it was an airplane. But
I'm just not convinced by this video, though.
I don't know. Just the size of the hole that was in the Pentagon makes me think that it literally looks like half the building. Like the one side of the building is like literally just cut in half. Like it's a straight vertical line. And you can see in multiple pictures of like desk, and like there's a computer sitting on a monitor, or on a computer monitor placed on a filing cabinet, untouched, unscorched, nothing. Then if you were to zoom in on the lower levels where the so-called plane was actually hit, you can see an open book on a stool. None of the papers even scorched, which makes it kind of weird if, that big explosion did happen. Well, don't you think some of the stuff inside of the buildings would be torched to shit?
Probably most of it.
But if you look at, like, literally where the wall looks like it's just been cut and a clean cut straight down, most of the stuff on the inside looked like it's untouched.
Maybe they covered it in crying boy paintings.
Could be. It's a reference to our Cursed Objects episode.
We always find a way to throw back and reference.
I'm not gonna. If I'm gonna throw back, it won't be to that one. That's for damn sure. I think it gave me so many fucking problems. Video's fucking cursed.
So, to end up the talk on if the Pentagon was hit by an airplane, a drone, or a missile, what's your opinions on it? What do you think happened?
Missile.
It's not looking like a plane.
Yeah, so from the angle we seen that thing fly in at, you want to tell me how a plane hits that sort of speed and doesn't
rip all the way through or something?
That motherfucker's gonna wreck into something before then. It has to, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, some of the light poles and all that were just untouched too.
Oh yeah, I'd take out some light poles.
This was with the fucking, and this was a 757 as well, correct?
Yeah. 757.
These fucking wings are huge.
How fast does something go before it just combusts into flames? Or is that just a movie?
That one itself went 530 miles per fucking hour.
That was the second fastest. The first fastest one came at like I think 580 miles per hour, and that was the one that crash landed in a field. It didn't hit its target. So yeah, just by the looks of it, I mean, like, there's not really a lot of video proof of what hit before the Pentagon before it got hit, or when it got hit. There's not a lot of video proof on it.
But would a missile approach from that angle either? I don't feel like that's logical either. I feel like a missile would hit from up top.
That's why I put the idea out there that it could have been a drone, because you can manually fly a drone.
Yeah, but how popular were drones back in 2001?
Well, you gotta think. Technology, the government's always 10 years ahead of us. So this was in 2001. Well, they're in 2011 to us. So they're already fucking way advanced. And you know, when 2001 hit, technology was fucking booming. Absolutely booming.
I don't know if I would say booming.
Well, it was better than what we had in 01, right?
We were still dealing with the Xbox 360.
Still. Everything was improving.
I have a hardcore grudge on that console.
Well, yeah, I think in 2011, when, you know, if you think that the government really has 10 years worth of technology ahead of us, well, we're sitting in 2022 right now. Well, they're in
2032. Flying cars.
No, they've been trying that shit forever, dude. Watch, like, is it Back to the Future 2?
You know, it's funny that you say that, because there's a lot of references to 9/11 and Back to the Future. I bet you didn't realize. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding. I'm not joking.
I'm just supposed to believe this is a coincidence.
Clock tower. So,
do you remember the name of the mall in Back to the Future? Twin Pines Mall. And on the clock, it was 1:19 a.m. when he was walking to the mall. Well, what's 1:19 backwards? 9/11. And back in the future too, you can see Marty McFly wearing a red shirt with a leather jacket, and that same outfit was worn in a 2015 movie made by the same director over the guy that tightroped across the Twin Towers. And when he goes back into the future in Back to the Future 2, it is now the One Pine, or the One Pine Tree Mall or something like that. There's a lot of references to 9/11 in Back to the Future.
You trying to tell me they were on some Simpsons shit before the Simpsons?
Yeah. Trying to...
Dude, what that guy does is impressive.
Makes you think. What's he know?
You gotta eat another muffin.
I'll get to it. So, to end this podcast out, we want to pay our honors to all the victims that lives were lost. Still to this day, it's an absolute tragedy of all the lives that were lost. So we're going to listen to some of the final moments of these victims. I feel like not a lot of people probably would like to hear this, but this is just some of the final words of the lives that were lost during 9/11. There's a couple videos we're going to play, and we'll go ahead and play this first one here.
11, are you trying to call?
The cockpit is not answering their phone. Our number 1 has been staffed, and our 5 has been staffed.
I am going to call from Washington. I am in a situation where Americans learned a possible hijack.
What's going on, Betty? The aircraft is erratic again. Problem, very erratic. Betty, talk to me. Betty, are you there? Betty? Betty?
The plane just What? 737?
Hey, what?
The World Trade
Who are you talking to?
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
United 175, New York. We have some problems over here right now. We might have a hijack over here, 2 of them. Jules, this is Ryan. Lives on an airplane that's been hijacked. If things will go well, I'm good to go. I just want you to know I absolutely love you. I want you to do good. So have a good time. Same to my parents and everybody. And I just totally love you, and I'll see you later. Bye, Dave.
What are those people going to do? All the elevators are blocked out.
Oh my God. So both towers are now.
Okay, I got an aircraft 6 miles east of the White House.
Crystal City, just north of Crystal City.
Just to the north of your town.
Yeah, stop all departures.
Pentagon just got hit. No for CNN. God damn, I can't even protect my NCA.
United 93, that traffic for you is 1 o'clock, 12 miles eastbound 370.
Negative contact, we're looking United 93.
United 93, Cleveland, if you hear the center right then.
Take up the pistol down. Keep remaining steady. You have a ball board.
Tuesday, 9:47 a.m.
Hi, baby. Baby, you have to listen to me carefully. I'm on a plane that's been hijacked. I'm on the plane. I'm calling from the plane. I want to tell you I love you. Please tell my children that I love them very much. And I'm so sorry, babe. I hope to be able to see your face again, baby. I love you. Bye.
We're 56865. We have, I believe it is a Boeing 757. Can you see him up there, sir?
That's confirmed. It looks like he's rocking his wings.
Roger.
He's rocking back and forth.
We're 56865. I advise you stay away from that aircraft. Go north as fast as you can.
United 93, have you got information on that yet?
Yeah, he's down.
He's down?
Yes.
When did he land?
He did not land.
Oh, he's down?
Yeah,
Bound?
somewhere up northeast of Camp David.
Sean, it's me. I just want to let you know I love you, and I'm stuck in this building in New York. There's lots of smoke, and I just wanted you to know that I love you always.
At number 2 World Trade Center, right. Lady was stewardess in this office. We're not ready to die, but it's getting bad.
I'm on the 83rd floor. I'm gonna die, aren't I? No. I'm gonna die.
Ma'am, say your prayers.
Stop.
We're going to think positive because you got to help each other get off the floor.
I'm
Now,
dying.
New type of war. That's what it is.
So, yeah, those are just some of the videos of voice recordings and messages left to loved ones by people who were on the plane and in the tower during the terrorist attack. Pretty chilling to hear those voices. Some may found closure to this by hearing them, but it was a giant tragedy and loss of many, probably amazing people on that day. Yeah, 9/11 is it's a mystery and also a giant tragedy at the same time. Hopefully, we won't ever see anything like this again in our lifetime, and hopefully, more truth will be told in the near future about the actual events that happened on this tragic day of September 11th of 2001. With that, whatever you believe in, whether it's an inside job to go to war with the Middle East, or if it was actually a terrorist attack planned by Al Qaeda himself on Americans. Either way, it's a terrible tragedy. Those were the three main conspiracy theories that I could find that were pretty eye-opening just to think about.
Are you talking to them or us?
All of you.
All of us.
Yeah, reaching the souls to all of you who listen. Feel free to do your own research on more. There's way more of conspiracy theories about other stuff. But I felt like these were probably the three main big ones. There's all kinds of other conspiracy theories out there, and I leave it up to you guys to find your own way of what you think really happened on that day. Anybody's any comments to put on there?
I'm in agreement with you. Whatever people want to believe, like, go for it. I'm not going to choose one way or the other. I don't feel like getting tracked down by the FBI and the CIA and all that shit.
It is a giant mystery, and our government really seems to like hiding stuff from us, whether it's to protect us from the actual truth or to really
protect themselves.
Protect themselves. We all know that the government is pretty fishy, no matter what side you choose, left or right or in the middle. The government will always be...
I haven't heard that in fucking ages. Fishy.
Well, the government will always have power over us. You know, we used to think that the government was here to serve us, but it tends to see...
They are fishy motherfuckers.
It tends to see now that we are just servants to the government. So yeah, those are the three main conspiracies and the final chilling words of all lives that were lost during this tragic day in America. So with that being said, Greg, I think you know what time it is.
I think I do. Hey everybody, thanks for stopping in. Follow us on social media, literally just anywhere you fucking can. If you got one that we ain't got, let us know. And next week, we're doing an episode over at Cryptids, so bring your asses back this way. Stay safe, you beautiful motherfuckers.